choose not to stress. And now that we are here, I'ma get this off my chest. We feeling great, yeah, I know that we are blessed. I'm making sure my people good till I lay to rest. Sharing the light, yeah, I do my best. I'm going all in till I got nothing left. Marathon mindset till my last breath. Lift your spirit up and What's going on, friends? Welcome to Shine. And hey, friends, at NABE Conference, I've heard this is the 50th year anniversary, Mom, so tell us about it.
Well, first of all, we want to say congratulations. Keep shining your light. You've been doing it for 50 years. Many of us teachers have been impacted by this conference throughout the years. I've been in education for 25 years, Mark.
Wow.
You weren't even born yet.
Yeah.
So we are honored to be here. Thank you, NABE, for inviting us. I want to introduce to you my son, Mark Sedgwick.
Howdy, guys. Well, hey, we're the co-hosts of the Shine podcast. My mom is an author of an amazing book, My Own Little Brother, and many other books. And I'm here following her footsteps in many ways. And now we have a podcast. We do many other things like presentations at schools and beautification projects and all kinds of other things. The list goes on and on. But hey, what are we doing here? What are we talking about today, Mom?
We want to share with you the importance of shining your light in two languages.
Yeah.
So we thank you for joining us. I know we're going to try to make it very interactive, and we're also going to be sharing with you some of the video clips and photographs of our amazing journey. We look forward to meeting some of you in person. If not, don't forget to log in and join us as well, or send us an email. So, hey, let's get started.
Let's do it. So today we're going to be talking about shining in two languages and multiple languages, the power of being able to speak multiple languages. So, Mom, let's start with that. What is so important about that concept?
I can't begin to emphasize how important it is. It really changed my entire life. I grew up in Mexico, and because I was born in the U.S., but I was raised in Mexico. And guess what happened? I didn't speak, when I arrived in Mexico, I didn't speak English very well. So my first language really was Spanish. I had the honor to grow up in Cuernavaca, Morelos, Mexico, till I was 16. But then at 9 years old, I discovered I was born in the U.S. and my whole life changed. So at 16, I came to the United States to learn to speak English. I was shocked with the culture. Unfortunately, even though I was born here, I was still discriminated. I know what it's like to kind of be, made fun of because you have an accent, because you don't sound
the same.
It doesn't flow. People bully you. All of that. I went through all of that in high school. But I'm here to now speak to you in English. It's been a long journey, but because I had that opportunity to tackle the language, I know what it feels like. I know what are the challenges. But once you discover the power that comes from learning a second language, the opportunities are limitless.
So growing up with a mother who was an immigrant and who struggled to figure out English when she first moved here, it was really eye-opening for me as a little guy, because I grew up with a grandmother, which is her mother, who only spoke Spanish. So I got to see both sides of the story. You know, I got to see a mother who was really empowered by English and Spanish. She got to empower many of her colleagues and students when she became a teacher. So, Mom, go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, God, that was such a aha moment for me, because once I learned to dominate the language and take away a lot of the accent, the heavy accent I had, it really changed my world. I stopped being bullied. I stopped being, looked at as, oh, she doesn't speak any English, she's only, speaking Spanish. And people started to respect me more. And I think that's really a key. Of course, I will always have my accent. I will always have a little accent. But people, at least now, I can communicate, people understand, and people respect me. I think that is the most powerful tool that we end up achieving as we not dominate two languages or three languages. I was honored to also be surrounded by women and men in my educational career who spoke more than two languages. So some trilingual and multilingual, amazing leaders. So I did see the power that language has in our lives. I always picture myself like being in front of the world, and every time you learn a language, a new door opens. So for me, I always saw the two doors opening and giving me opportunities. And I wanted to immerse you, your sister, and yourself in that world. And I wanted you to see the power of speaking more than one language.
Yeah, and at an early age, my mom put me and my sister into bilingual classes. So at first I was very hesitant and very almost rebellious towards that idea because I just wanted to be speaking English, Mom. I don't want to speak Spanish and all this stuff. Obviously, later on, I learned the power of it, and that's why we're here today, of course, to share that. But so let's kind of talk about My Annoying Little Brother and how my mother made it into a bilingual book. You know, it has English version My Annoying Little Brother, and underneath Mi Hermanito Fastidioso. So it's very powerful, and I want to talk a little bit about how me and my sister are so different, especially at an early age. So go ahead.
That's right. So the story of the Annoying Little Brother was born because his older sister only wanted a sister. She was so excited to have a little sister, and when she got the news that it was going to be a boy, she was devastated. She was upset, and so she bullied him a lot. And as they were starting to, communicate and speak to each other, I didn't know what to do. So I went looking for a book to help me, and guess what? I couldn't find it on the shelves in the library, so I decided to write my own book. Why are we talking about this is because I want to also encourage teachers out there, when you don't find the books that you need, go ahead and put them on a shelf. You write them, you create them, and you publish them. So it's a great opportunity when we see a need, do something about it. So I did. The book ended up helping your sister and yourself to get along and live in perfect harmony.
Absolutely.
But it took some time. But one of the aha moments for me was when I went to a school, and it was a bilingual school, and the teachers wanted to buy the book in Spanish, and I didn't have it. So I was like, wow, I need to make sure I have it in Spanish as well.
So tell us about that story.
Audience,
Yeah, tell us about that story. You mentioned it to me before, but so what happened at that conference that day?
So I was at a conference, it was also a NABE Conference in Texas, and it was so important. I was doing a workshop, and I was there in a room full of teachers, and they were all bilingual teachers, and I shared the story, and I translated it as I read it in English, and I remember I had a little card, like kind of just checking what I was supposed to say, and then I was like kind of embarrassed. I was like, I don't have the book in Spanish. This is crazy. There's a need out there, and I'm not fulfilling that need. So at the end of the presentation, a teacher came up and said, Maestra, ya quiero que tenga el libro en español. Usted es maestra bilingüe, debe de tener el libro en los dos idiomas. So guess what?
So what does that mean for the English speakers out there? What did she say?
The teacher just approached me and said, Ms. Cortes, you're a bilingual teacher. You should have that book published in 2 languages.
That's right.
I would buy it right now if you had it, but you only have it in English. So that was my aha moment when I said, wow, there's this door opportunity, right? And I need to do something about it. So I had to, of course, invest, because every time you publish a book, it costs money. It's not cheap. The reason I didn't do it in English and Spanish was because it was going to cost me the double of the price. So I didn't have it at that time, and I decided to start saving money. I decided to get other jobs, because as a teacher, one job, just being a teacher is not enough. So I decided to use my gifts that God gave me and share them with the teachers, and also be able to make a little bit of extra money to support the project for the bilingual book.
Absolutely.
And
so,
it happened.
Yeah, so you put your thoughts on the paper, Mom, and you made it happen, That was a turning point for you, So for me, a turning point in my life was whenever, as a little boy, I was growing up, and sometimes I would see the need, like maybe an immigrant student, Spanish speaking only, would have a question for the teacher. And I was usually that kid who would step up to the plate and help them out and say, oh, you don't understand? Here, let me translate for you. And then the class would go smoother, and the kid would learn. And I remember in those moments, I really realized, wow, this is really powerful. Thank you, Grandma Teresa. Thank you, Mother, for showing me all these things. I became really grateful in those moments. And I learned the power of learning more than one language.
Yes, Mark, and you know what? That was the foundation for you to be able to apply it as an adult. And once you learn to speak Spanish, I know it opened a lot of other doors and a lot of opportunities for you.
Absolutely. And it's opened a lot of doors for you. And I want you to talk about maybe Kids Right to Know, one of the biggest businesses you've ever had and most impactful businesses. So tell us a little bit about that and how it helped to be bilingual with that.
Yes, and actually Kids Right to Know started because from an idea that I wanted to help empower my students to discover the power of print. Discover how writing was going to actually change their lives by planning and writing on journals and just collecting their ideas, and sometimes even just putting maybe a bad story on paper and then turn it into a positive. Because the moment you start thinking what happened in that moment in your life, you can start thinking of solutions. And I always tell my students to write solutions for every problem that they encounter. So writing through the workshops in Kids Right to Know really emphasizes the importance of how our thinking and our reflecting can really open new doors as well.
Absolutely.
But when you write into languages, that's even better, because then some of the students were able to write in Spanish and share their stories at home with their abuelita or their mama or their tia or their tío. And guess what? They would come back so excited. Maestra, I read my journal to my abuelita, and just seeing their smiles every day. It was beautiful. And I also noticed that I would share a lot of those stories with you. You remember? I used to be like, hey, Mark, guess what? The student wrote this or wrote that. And you started writing. Absolutely. You started writing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've been writing. I've always been interested in writing because of her. Growing up, watching all these moves she'd be making to help kids to learn to write better and to express themselves, right? Writing is only speaking on paper, right? It's so important to be able to speak to others, because that's how we were able to, like my mom said, solve through our problems and express ourselves and share our light, especially, right? So my mom was able to share her light through this. My mom was able to share her light through Kids Right to Know workshops. I was able to watch this as a young guy and figure out, wow, this is powerful. And now I'm here today to write. I'm here today excited to write books. I'm ready to share my light, and hopefully we're able to inspire you and show you the power of knowing multiple languages and expressing yourself through those languages.
Yes, and you know what? Another thing that I love, Mark, once you started writing and putting your ideas on paper, you started also creating lyrics. And over the years, you've written some songs, some raps. I remember telling Mark, make sure you write some positive lyrics, some positive things that will empower others with your words. You're doing a fabulous job. Do you want to share one of your raps?
Oh, wow. Straight off the top, she's telling me to bring it out. So I got to show NABE Conference what it's all about. So let's see. Living my life so I choose not to stress. And now that we're here, I'm going to get this off my chest. We are feeling great. Yeah, I know that we are blessed. I'm making sure my people good until I lay to rest. Sharing the light. Yeah, we do our best. We're going all in until we got nothing left. Marathon mindset until our last breath. And that's a little poem I wrote. So
I love it. Marathon mindset.
Yeah.
Wow, how powerful is that? When you think small, you're only going to create small things. But when you think
big and long term,
it's the projects will surprise you at the end of the day, which is so beautiful. And you end up doing very unexpected things, which is what really happened to me. I had that idea that because of a need, I wanted to empower my kids to get along, to live in perfect harmony and live good lives. I never would have imagined that my book or that book was going to actually translate and transform the lives of other students and people that have crossed my path over the years.
Yeah, and it's been great. And we're going to continue forward with doing that. And we hope we have inspired you to share whatever gifts you have. And like we said, knowing multiple languages helps you to share that gift, right? It opens those doors. It opens communication with more people. It helps you to connect and to become friends and build bridges and relationships and business relationships, right? That can grow to so much more.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do with Kids Right to Know was to guide my students, guide my kids. And sometimes, we do it and we don't even know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. And one of the most beautiful things that happened by creating this club with Kids Right to Know was I was not only helping my kids, I was helping my students. And I was also inspiring my colleagues to do things a little bit different, Mark. Because what happens is when we are always doing the same thing day and night and we don't stop to think, how can we make it better? Then we get stuck. And it's almost like you're stuck on a mud or a swamp, a muddy area or a swamp area. Think about it like that visually. You don't want to be stuck on the same, doing the same thing. Or
habits, patterns.
What can you do different today? Stop and think, what can you do different grab a piece of paper and write it down. We always encourage people to write on their journals. You know, write on a paper, write on your journal. When you write on a journal, you can always go back and read what you wrote yesterday, 2 days ago, a week, or even last year.
Absolutely.
One of the things I love is picking up journals that I wrote something about a year, 2 years ago, and they always surprise me, and I'm like, wow, I have grown so much, or wow, I haven't done this one, I'm going to give it a try.
Absolutely.
And I love, Mark, that you are also doing the same thing. I've seen you write over the years, and now you're getting ready to publish your own book. Tell us a little bit about that project and what inspired you.
Well, wow, you know, this book is called Hey Gamer, There's More, and that book is just going to be about a young boy who's neglected certain things in his life, and maybe he's gotten a little bit stuck in his habits of playing so much video games, you know, and not thinking bigger, and neglecting things like family and diet and exercise and friends and going outdoors and exploring the world. But he's so locked in, and maybe that kind of ties to this message as well of for us to get up and make a move. So, but before we continue, I want you guys to pause the video and get your journals out. Get a little sheet of paper and get a pen and paper and write this down. Write down, what can you do differently? What are your goals and aspirations? Let's write these things down. Ready, go. Making sure my people good till I lay to rest. Sharing the light, yeah, I do my best.
Okay, friends, we hope you enjoyed this little break. I hope you did write something on your journal. And not only that, go ahead and when we're done with the workshop here, with the session, we want you to share with someone, because if it only stays in your book, the probability is not going to happen. So one of the powerful things is what, Mark?
To share your gifts. Share your gifts with your friends and your family. And remember, those people you tell might say, oh, maybe your dreams are too big. Maybe you're thinking to... Tell the right people, right? Tell some big-minded people about your gifts and your dreams and your goals and what your plan is. Tell some people about it.
That reminds me of my mother when I used to share my stories, and she would be like, ay, hija, pero ¿qué? Si tú piensas que vas a un día andar allá filmando libros o qué vas a hacer, piensas que vas a ser famosa? She would always kind of say those comments like she thought I shouldn't write or plan so big, because was I thinking of one day be a writer or an author? Was I thinking of signing books? But I was. In some ways I was. It was planting those seeds that began my journey a few years back.
Absolutely.
I was only 9 years old, Mark, when I started writing on my journals, and nobody knew what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do, but little did I know, the day I became a teacher and I started to open those journals, I discovered that I was creative. I discovered that I had some issues and I learned to solve them. And I was like, you know what? I need to share this discovery that I read on my journal with my students. And that's how Kids Write to Know was born. So really, I'm going back a little more, because a lot of people wonder, how did I start writing? Why did I even get into writing? Why is writing so important to me? But I was able to communicate in Spanish 100%. But when I learned to speak a second language and I could communicate and write in 2 languages, my ideas just grew. Why? Because it also expands your brain when you learn a second language.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know? So according to the studies, if you learn more than 1 language, your intelligence and expanding of knowledge just multiplies. And you will be surprised. You will be surprised how it stimulates your brain, and it just creates volumes of the projects and things that you are able to produce.
Yeah, and like we said before, it expands who you can share those gifts with. It expands who you can collaborate with. You know, now I'm inspired. You know, even just doing this talk with you guys, I have been inspired. I'm now thinking of. No, I'm not thinking. Now I'm gonna make Hey Gamer a bilingual book. You know, now the dreams start to become bigger. Now I can have different audiences. You know, the gifts and sharing the light can now reach new horizons.
That's right. And one of the other things that we want to share with you is not only do we write our ideas and our reflections, we also write our goals. And one of our goals was a few years back was we wanted to start beautifying some of the schools, adding some light to some of the dark areas that we discovered in the presentations. And how do we do that? By adding art. And I love art. I've been drawing and doing my little sketches since I was a little girl, but I never took classes. I did take ceramics in college though, because I love creating the clay art, but I never really sat down to take a class. And when I discovered I had this gift and I wanted to then share with the schools to help them beautify their spaces, it also started to create a different business, which I didn't know it was going to evolve. And then later you joined me as well.
Yeah, and so we all got to share our gifts in the art forms, right? So I got a couple of art pieces over there as well. So I was inspired by my mom's art, and we all inspired each other, and we are all able to create these amazing projects and amazing outlets of and expressions of our gifts. Yeah. So we're hoping that we're able to inspire you and stimulate that question. What are my gifts? I wonder. And how can I use those to make this world a better place and to shine my light?
I would like us to now do another pause and give you the opportunity and chance to write down on your journal what are your aspirations or maybe some of your goals that are so much bigger than the ones you've written in the past.
Oh, wow.
So let's do that. We'll give you just a minute to write those.
Making sure my people good till I like to rest. Sharing the light, yeah, I do my best.
Well, my friends, I hope your list was really big and all your goals have multiplied since we stimulated that question. So let's move on. Another huge thing that we've done is art workshops. So tell us a little bit about that, Mom.
Well, the art workshops can be in a classroom, or they can even be at a senior center or a senior home. And we've done several of that where Mark and a lot of other young folks have helped me. Why do I bring younger people? Is because they also have the energy. You guys have the energy, the patience to help me, because when I go to these centers, there's multiple seniors and one person can't do it. So we need a lot of volunteers. So that's another thing I want to encourage you as a parent, as a teacher, encourage your students to volunteer at the senior centers, or people with that are sometimes neglected by society. You know, they're abandoned by their kids because they don't have time, they're too old to take care of them. Make time to help and love those people that already gave their love and their time.
Absolutely. And I want to share a story from one of these art workshops that we did at this center that we went to. And this center happened to be filled with Spanish speakers, which I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting because my Spanish can use some work. So I was like, well, Mom, I'll do my best, but I might need some translations here and there. And she said, let's do it. So we show up and I'm walking around and we're doing all of our art. We're handling the art workshop and it's going great. And we're just going around helping people, and I'm speaking Spanish and using my Spanish, and it's going well. And I just remember helping this one special lady that I met, and it turns out she did have Alzheimer's, but it was very special. We connected very well. She reminded me a lot of my own grandmother. And it turns out that I showed a great buddy of mine this video like a year later, and it turns out that was his grandmother. And we shared that special moment, and it was really cool that was actually his grandma that I was able to connect with that day. So yes. It was really cool. My Spanish helped me once again there. So
I know, and I loved it. It almost brought tears to my eyes when I remember that, because it was so beautiful to actually step back and see my son interacting with this senior, beautiful lady. As you said, she reminded us a lot of Abuelita Mama Tere. But it was just beautiful to see that. And we don't do enough of that, helping people and just going out there and sharing our gifts, which is what we already talked about. Remember to share your light, share your gifts with others. And when we started doing the art workshops, that really opened a whole new spectrum of colors in our life, because we've been able to do workshops at different sceneries, from conferences, schools, the community centers, and also a lot of the special events and festivals. I think those are my favorite, the festivals.
Absolutely.
Because you can hear the music playing in the background as kids are painting and creating. So
and there's gonna be a lot more festivals to come for the Shine Productions. So from here we wanna talk about Shine Productions and what we plan to do upcoming soon.
Making sure my people good till I like to rest. Sharing the light, yeah, I do my best.
Another big thing we've been doing is having the Shine podcast, and I'm super excited to continue forward. We hope some of you Spanish speakers can come onto the show one of these days, coming soon, so keep on sharing your light so we can have something great to talk about, something great to share with the world. So, Mom, what do we plan to do here?
Well, I want to also invite some of the teachers, some of the community leaders or educational consultants out there to also start their own podcasts, because you guys can inspire the students, maybe do interviews with students, teaching students how to do a podcast. Because I think that's super powerful, don't you think?
Video production is great.
Video production it's phenomenal in the school setting. Number one, you're informing, you're educating, and you're sharing your life through the productions of podcasts or film as well.
Absolutely. Youngsters need a way to express themselves. That is for certain. And video production is a way to create. Book production is a way to create. These are all different avenues that as teachers we should certainly share.
Yes, and because of the modern times and our millenniums, that's like a must-have in every classroom. So we want to encourage each of you to do more of those, either podcasts or recordings or film, any of those productions that are basically injecting fuel to your kids. I bet you they're going to be so excited to come to school every day.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not going to miss any days of school, which used to happen to me. Like, how do you get all these kids into school, Ms. Cortes? Well, because I was using a variation of different projects, different things that were happening in the classroom. It was engaging the students to be active. And guess what, Mark? They didn't want to miss a day of school.
That's right.
And so, I mean, that was great. And I also, they inspire me to not miss days of school as well.
Absolutely. Well, hey, if both parties are happy, the students and the teachers, it's going to be a great time. So as teachers, I know I would have wanted to show up if we were doing those kinds of things. And luckily I was in high school now into video production and all those kinds of classes. So I love to be a part of that. Encourage your students to be a part of that. Encourage them to share their gifts. You know, that's what we're doing, right? We're not only creating things and using our gifts to create, but we're also hoping to inspire others to do so as well. And that is our jobs as teachers.
That's right. Our job as professional teachers and educators is to motivate students and continue to give them those opportunities for learning, for discovering, and for adventure. Because if you're just sitting there in the classroom every day, just sitting there is just not fun. And nowadays, you know, with the pandemic and COVID, and we have to do so many virtual connections. I mean, this is a perfect time, a perfect moment to utilize these connections and teach kids to go to the next level. But they can also learn and help one another from their virtual connections at home.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, this whole COVID situation has definitely expanded our podcast. We not only we did not only turn the podcast from a radio station, we transitioned into a travel podcast, which means we have our own cameras and we can have a guest and we can speak anywhere in the world. But now it forced us to use Zoom and video connections like that. To now I can be at home and I can have a podcast with somebody in Mexico or in Europe or wherever they're at. I can. So same thing with our students. We must help them to realize that, hey, we can connect from anywhere in the world now.
That's right. And the opportunities that we're giving our students to share their gifts and share their knowledge, it's actually taking them to a whole different level of learning, because they are part of the learning. They're no longer just receiving the learning. They're also part of the creation. So it's a great opportunity. So take advantage of it. We want to encourage you. So remember, so far we have shared with you the power of print, putting your ideas and thoughts on paper, the power of connecting virtually through a podcast or any recording that you choose to connect with. We also have shared with you the power of learning a second or a third language, and how powerful it is by opening doors or creating opportunities for you to become more aware of your surroundings. You know what it also does? It also helps us respect one another. Because why? We are understanding each other because we're learning to share those ideas. And there's so many more similarities than differences, that when you realize how much more we are alike, then we start to get along better, you know? And so that's a beautiful thing. And the other one is the arts. Without the arts, really, nothing beautiful would be around us. We would be a horrible, boring world if it was just black and white, or just white, or just black, you know, no color. We need color.
We do.
So tell us about how that has impacted your life.
Oh my golly. Wow, I have so much to say about that. Just looking at my house here, guys, you can see what kind of things my mom does, and this is a reflection of what kind of teacher my mom is as well. If you have I wish I had photos of my mom's classroom. Boom, boom, boom. They're probably popping up now.
Yes.
But look, she would have a beautiful classroom full of jungle themes and all these different exploratory, oh my gosh. Adventures, yeah.
Sceneries of adventure, because I used to have teachers that wanted to pay me to go decorate their classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget, because I love getting the butcher paper and transforming into 3D walls, and I used to do interactive bulletin boards. That was phenomenal, because the kids were not just going to read a little book or sit there quiet. They were actually grabbing paper to write. They were grabbing a video recording camera to record themselves, or record their voice and hear it and share it. And so I had colors and crayons and markers, and they were so excited to express themselves. So why limit our children? Why limit our kids to just a certain kind of world, or a certain kind of either genres of books or styles of art? No, the opportunities are endless. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, then you end up having a kid who's going to grow up to be creative, who is going to be a creative mind, and you're unstoppable, Mark.
Yeah.
So I love that you grew up to be the person that you have become. I love that you have no limits. I love the fact that you are not stopping. You are unstoppable. And that's the most beautiful part of being a mother of a creative mind. But I am so excited, and we hope that through this connection, this workshop, you are learning that the world has endless opportunities. You cannot limit your classroom to just 1 or 2 or 3 ideas. There are so many ideas out there. Encourage, submerge your kids, or marinate them. I love that word, marinate them with the experiences and the exposure of learning the second languages or third languages, and all of the different creative arts that are out there.
Making sure my people good till I lay to rest. Sharing the light, yeah, I do my best.
I hope you guys have been inspired by the ideas and stories that we have told here. I want to thank all of my former teachers for all of the uplifting and sharpening and teaching that you did to me, and turned me into this exploratory kid that I have become. And Mom, thank you also for showing me the importance of writing and showing me the power of the creativity and the optimism that can be brought by the creations that we make. So I appreciate that, and may we continue to create, everybody.
That's right. And I want to take this moment to thank my son for listening, for reflecting, for using his journal and putting his thoughts on paper, because I think when we learn to put those ideas and reflections on paper, our life, our world is going to be completely different than if we are out there with no guidance and no goals and no settings, to say, this is what I want to do with my life. So I want to say thank you to you, Mark. I want to thank him for being the great business partner that he is, and he has been in my life, but also for your suggestions and new ideas. And every time I write something, it's a little too crazy out there, you and your sister always bring me down to reality, and I've been able to grow. So what can we learn from this? Learn to listen, learn to share. Don't let any darkness or any negativity stop you from shining your light and shining and doing what you're supposed to do in this planet. And teachers out there, community leaders, and educational powerful directors, please allow your teachers and your leaders to also have that flexibility to grow, to expand their mind, give them moments to think and write, maybe do activities as we've been doing here, give them time to stop and write their ideas on paper and let them shine bright. Because guess what? At the end of the day, that light that you shine within is going to guide you and take you to bigger levels. So don't settle for less than when you are capable of doing and becoming. Sure. Inspire your kids and your own children to glow and be the best they can be, because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to guide them, support them, and then just have lots of celebrations, right?
That's right.
And when you do that, life is going to be a lot easier. No matter the trials you face in life, you are going to be able to tackle them and get through anything that you encounter in life. So until next time, we'll see you soon, and we look forward to maybe one day interviewing you at your school or in your community. We'll see you soon. Be blessed.
Adios. God bless, guys.